If you've been watching this channel for a little bit, you know it's no secret. I love luxury SUVs. I think they're awesome having a car that's super comfortable and nice with all the features, but then is still crazy fast and fun to drive. And today we have the luxury SUV. I'll say this is the quintessential one that everybody wants to have. It is the Mercedes G63 AMG, and this thing is absolutely wild. So yeah, we got this insane 2022 Mercedes AMG G63 in this crazy kind of like Nardo gray color, and it has these like really awesome like aluminum brush guards and aluminum accents everywhere. Usually you see G-Wagons in a kind of a black color, so you rarely see them in like different specs. So this spec is really awesome. It has this like I said, this crazy gray interior, and it has a black and white leather interior that just looks absolutely amazing. Got a lot of the white accent stitching everywhere. This spec is just so good. You know what? I'm just gonna get into my favorite thing about this car. I love how it drives, I love everything, but just the sounds that this car makes and just how it's built. Like just listen to that click and then the shut. Oh, I don't know what it is, but that's just the most like, it's every like, ooh. It just sounds just quality and build, and it just sounds so good. You just can't beat it. But today we're actually up in the mountains of Pocatello, Idaho, and we're just taking some photos for the owner. But he said, yeah, take the car, I'll go have fun. So I thought I'd make a video for you guys and just share my thoughts driving this car around for a little bit. Let me tell you, it's awesome. The main caveat with it, just spoiler alert, it's not my favorite like performance car. I was just driving around these like windy hills up here, getting up to the spot, and it doesn't handle very well. But granted, it's like a 7,000 pound brick on wheels, so I didn't really expect it to handle as good as my X3, but it handled a lot worse than I expected it to, especially being a $200,000 G63. Actually, I think the owner paid closer to like $230,000 for this when he bought it brand new. So, but the owner is actually selling this tomorrow and getting something new, so I wanted to make sure I get a video of it before it goes away. But we have an absolutely awesome car coming in that we're also going to be making a video with, so stay tuned for that. But right now, let's check out this AMG a little more. Yeah, like I said, it has the brushed like aluminum guards, the AMG badge right there. Classic Mercedes turns signals on the roof. A V8 bi-turbo engine, that sounds awesome. So you have the white leather interior, black accents. This looks so good. Got a sunroof up there. And let's hop in. It's got a really nice, just like aluminum accented interior. Because usually with these cars, you get like carbon fiber interiors. So this one, again, being like a unique spec with the aluminum, it actually like looks really cool, and I like how it's different from all the other G-Wagons. You got a ton of room in the back, got a lot of my junk back there, so just ignore that. But let's get a start up on this thing. So I got the key in my pocket, got the push button start here, and that V8 bi-turbo rose to life. And of course we got to turn the active exhaust on. Let's pop this into Sport Plus. Let's give it a couple revs. We're rev limited to 4,000. It just sounds so muscly and aggressive, and I love it. Just deep and throaty, but that's what I love about these Mercedes. They just sound like muscle cars. Even with being turboed, you don't hear like the turbo whooshing and stuff. It's just But yeah, so this has been really fun to drive around for the little bit of time that I've had it. The photos turned out awesome too. I'll throw up a couple like right here I took. But just look at this view right here, but also look at this view with the sunset and everything. This is gonna be a little spoiler alert for a later video. I'm actually moving to Pocatello, Idaho, and so I'll be able to shoot with Kevin and his cars a lot more, and also do a lot more collaborations with like Kurt, if you guys remember him. But got the G-Wagon back end right here. I think it looks pretty good. G-Dream is the license plate. It just looks so good. Let's check out this back interior here too. Got the ambient lighting, got a big back, and they have the interior right there. Then the glowing AMG door sills. But then the satisfying, yes. Okay, let's hop in and go for a drive. It sounds so good. I just, like I said, I love the throaty, like muscly sound of this car. But of course, gotta click it into Sport Plus mode and open up the valves a little bit. I'm not sure if that's coming through on camera. This 360 camera is such a help with a car this size. This thing weighs like 7,000 pounds. And we're off. Get a little. It just sounds so meaty. And one thing that throws me off with cars like this is in Mercedes, the side bolstering on your seats has airbags, and when you take turns really fast in a car like this, they fill up with air and it feels like someone's grabbing your sides. And my theory is, because my BMW gives you like a little, like, it tightens your seatbelt before you leave, so it feels like it's giving you like a little hug. And my theory on that is people who usually can afford cars that cost as much as houses have given up their personal relationships in exchange for money. So that means they don't usually get like physical affection, and their cars have to do it for them. Let's get around these bends here. Hopefully all my camera equipment doesn't just go flying everywhere. And this thing does not corner the greatest, because like I said, it's a 7,000 pound brick. I can punch it a little. Well, that's the crazy part about this car. This thing does a 3.9 second to 60 stock. So if you tuned this car just like a little bit, then this thing would be an absolute monster. But yeah, stock 3.9 second to 60 in a car that's 7,000 pounds and is just a big brick. So let's punch it right here. Jeez, this thing is so fun. But yeah, the brakes are awful. And even just going around those couple bends right there when I got to the photo shoot spot, which is maybe 4 or 5 turns, I could smell the brakes getting out of the car. And so that's just wild that the brakes just get so heated, because they're not good. I thought the brakes in the Tesla were bad. This is so much worse, and I feel like the Tesla's actually pretty close to the same weight, maybe just like a little less. And their brakes are so much better. That's not saying much, because the Tesla brakes were kind of awful. So bad brakes aside, everything like that, this car is just such a pleasure to drive. The seats are insanely comfortable, even though they grab you on the sides. And the driving position, you're up tall, sitting way high. The windows are huge, so you can just see everything. You feel like you're just above everybody, which in this car, I feel like a lot of people try to be like that, because you're spending, especially in this case, close to $250,000 just on a glamorized Jeep a little bit. But it just sounds so good. Like, man, the ride is very nice in this car. I have no complaints. I could easily do a long road trip in this, and I know Kevin, I think it does use this as like a road trip car when he's not driving his other AMG. Maybe we can do a video on his AMG GT sedan that he has. But yeah, well, we're setting up this light. This interior is just a really nice place to be. You have stitching and leather on literally every surface. One thing I was surprised about, though, was actually the amount of plastic in the interior. I didn't expect there to be this much, like, just, I want to say cheap feeling plastic in a car that costs this much and is at this caliber. But like the whole dash is, other than the parts that are leather, are all plastic. And the arm grippy thing right here, that's plastic. And I was expecting there just to be a little more materials, especially in the G63 version of this thing. And also this one's like a special edition, like super limited version of the G63. So I didn't expect there to be this much plastics in the interior, but they have to mass produce these in some way, I guess. And that's where they decided to cheap out on. Yeah, the whole center console is just this black shiny plastic that always gets dirty. I love the look of piano black, but I hate having piano black things in a car because they always just look dusty and bad after a day of being clean. But Kevin keeps his cars very nice, so this one looks good. But yeah, other than just the plasticky, there's really no fault to this interior. Like I said, everything's covered in real leather and leather stitched, and it just looks amazing. You got this like 2-foot long infotainment center, which looks so good. And I just love the blend of this car between like rugged and also luxury. And that's always just been the selling point for the G-Wagons, is you can have something that's super rugged and super reliable, but it still is such a nice place to be, and you can just soak up a lot of the miles in it. There's a reason that Whistling Diesel says out of every car that he's ever owned, the G63 is the one that he would buy again. Out of all the cars that he's tested and destroyed, he said this car is like the best built that he's ever like tried and like beat up and destroyed, and he's had 2 of them. And yeah, he just said this is the best car that he would always have. So that is a big thing when you're saying someone who for a living destroys things would say that he would buy this because of how well built it is. It just speaks to the testament that Mercedes does put a lot of work and like time and money into these cars, but there's just a few materials that I wish they wouldn't have cheaped out on because they're very front and center. This car is just driving around, it's just so nice. Like I would definitely have one of these, but probably in the 4x4 squared version. I just like those a lot more than the base G-Wagon. It's so weird, just like when you take turns, it just like grabs your sides. It's so jarring. I remember the first time I drove one of Kevin's Mercedes, he didn't tell me that it did that, and I just felt so like, ew. It threw me off. It wasn't fun. So hope there's no cop up there. It just sounds so mean. I just love how aggressive it is. And then it just quiets down, and you're just in a super nice place to be. You can just soak up all the miles, and then you just punch it. You're just... A car this size shouldn't accelerate that fast. I can't imagine how insane this car would be if you tuned it. Like that Brabus 800 horsepower version of this car. I can't imagine how like that would be. I think it'd just be absolutely bonkers. But it is crazy for me to think like the first house that I ever bought, I bought for $170,000, and this car is $70,000 more than that house was too. So it's kind of just crazy to just how much money is in this car. And the big question is do I think if it's worth it spending over $200,000 on something like this? I don't think I would. It's a great car and it's like super fun to drive, but would I spend $200,000 of my own money on like a brand new G-Wagon? I don't think I would. I really don't think so. But the last generation G-Wagon, the 4x4 squared versions, are becoming quote unquote cheaper now, and you can get a used one for like $160,000, $170,000. And so you're getting, yeah, it's a last gen G-Wagon, but nobody's gonna tell the difference really. Like the only way you can tell that this is a newer gen is that the headlights and the taillights are a little more round than the last gen, and that's really it. That's the really only way to tell the difference. But you're getting something that would be about $30,000, $40,000 less than this one, and getting something has the full like built 4x4 squared like suspension, and that just like looks really cool and towers over everything else on the road. Came back up on the hill. Sunset's looking so nice behind us, but I actually got a view of the city right behind the car. Looks so cool. Might take some more photos up here actually for Kevin, but yeah, the G-Wagon, amazing car. It's really fun to drive around and experience it. Compare it to my BMW a little bit, and this might sound controversial, but sometimes I feel like BMW has nicer interior quality than Mercedes. And my car has some plastics in it, but it has way more like hard like aluminum surfaces than I'd say almost even this. And also my car comes with more equipment and options than even like BMW like X3Ms. So I still think the X3 M40i is like the best value that you can like get out of any car, especially finding a used one for like 35 grand. But when it comes to spending about $200,000 or more on a car like this, I just don't know if it's worth it. Like, it's a really amazing car and it looks so cool, and definite huge status symbol whenever you pull up in this, and people freak out and they know that you're a big shot when you're like driving something like that. But for $200,000, like I'd rather get like a X5M competition and then buy myself like an Acura NSX. And then you would be spending about the same amount of money. Spend about 100 grand on the X5M, spend 140 on the Acura NSX, get an amazing supercar, get that, and all that for the same price as this. That's what I would go with. That's my opinion. All in all, this is an amazing car. I have loved having the time with it and taking the photos. Thank you so much, Kevin, for letting me drive this around, experience it, and get to make my own opinions and just have access to this amazing car. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this car? Would you take a G-Wagon for $200,000? Or would you, or for 200 grand, what else would you have? Like, what would you pick over this car if you had the option? So yeah, comment that down below. Thank you again so much for watching this with me. I really appreciate you being here, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.